Hello, I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and we are answering publicly posted questions on abo.com, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. Today, we have a question from an employer, which is a bit rare. Generally, employers don't tend to ask us questions as much, but I want to applaud this employer because they sound like they're doing everything right, and I wish it could be more help. But I'm gonna do my best for this employer. It seems like they really mean well. They're trying to keep everyone safe. But the takeaway here is you probably are going to have to hire a local employment counsel to help guide you through this. But let's read the question. Employee with a medical condition and risks in the workplace. Our company provides home health care to seniors. A recent new hire has had 2 seizures and 1 severe asthma attack at work in just the past 2 weeks. On all occasions, the elderly person the employee was caring for contacted EMS for the employee. The individuals the employee is caring for oftentimes are not mobile themselves, have heart, anxiety, and other issues. This employee is working alone. I'm aware of the basics regarding the ADA, the Family Medical Leave Act, etc. We certainly would prefer to make any necessary accommodations for this employee. Unfortunately, there are no alternative job positions to move them to, and the safety risks to the elderly patients as well as the employee are rather severe. At what point in this situation does the safety of the individual involved allow us to remove the employee from their duties? Okay, so there is a point, right? Clearly there's a point. There's a point where either an accommodation is not reasonable, right? And it could not be reasonable because it's not safe, right? The most classic reason why employers say something is not reasonable is, oh, it's too much for us. It's too much for us to do, right? But there's other ways to look at it too. There's a lot of ways for an accommodation to not be reasonable. This one, potentially an accommodation here, and I'm not saying whether it is or is not, but potentially an accommodation here might be viewed as unreasonable because it puts people at risk, right? The innate nature of this job is working alone, working off-site, travel, working in people's homes of people who might not be mobile, might not be capable of calling 911, things like that. And if that's innate to the job, then as you're doing your reasonable accommodation review and engaging the reasonable accommodation dialogue with the employee, you might, with the help of your local counsel, which I'm afraid you're going to have to hire, realistically speaking here, this is a thorny issue, and I'm really only allowed to advise you as to the federal claims that would pend before the EEOC. So you're going to have to hire local counsel, but you're going to have to, with the counsel, kind of have a back and forth and figure out if there's any way you could reasonably accommodate this person. And the answer might be no. And that's okay. I don't want it to end in litigation for you because you're doing everything right. So I do want you to get local counsel and be very careful, right? But as long as you're trying to do everything you can, sometimes there's just going to be people that you can't accommodate, right? There's famous examples, and you have here a seizure disorder, right? This person suffered seizures twice in the past 2 weeks. Well, that person probably couldn't be a bus driver, right? There's probably no way to accommodate that person to be an airline pilot or a bus driver, or there's a lot of things they might not be able to do because of their disability, no matter what accommodations you offer, right? And I don't think there's going to be too many judges who think, oh, well, the accommodation here is to send a second person to work the job with this person. That doesn't sound likely to me. But now, are there other jobs, other placements you have where this person would not be alone? That could be an accommodation and this is the kind of thing you're going to have to go through step by step by step, both in communication with this employee and with your local employment counsel. I hope this is helpful. I do applaud you, and that's not me being facetious. I think based on the way you phrase this question, you're trying to do everything right. And I thank you for that. I will track the comments on this video. If this was helpful, consider liking and subscribing. It does help me to help more people just like you.